In the previous module, we mentioned that Nmap will send out repeat probes trying to elicit a response from a target port. The --max-retries option controls how many probes will be sent before giving up. The default number of retransmissions isn't well documented, since in one section of the manual I found it stated as 10 retries, and in another section of the manual it says 6. In trying to determine which was the correct value, my testing found that only 2 retries are sent. It's kind of confusing. Anyway, if you need or want to ensure a specific number of retries, it's probably best to set the value explicitly using this option. When Nmap begins the scan of a system, it doesn't know whether the target is next door or halfway around the world. It errs on the side of caution and sets a conservative initial timeout value for how long it will wait for a return packet before retransmitting. By conservative, we mean long. How long is controlled by the --initial-RTT-timeout argument. If or when a target responds, Nmap notes the round-trip time for the conversation and adjusts the wait time accordingly. If we know our target is next door, we can set the initial RTT timeout to a lower value to speed up the startup time of the scan. In addition to the initial timeout value, we can also set a minimum and maximum value for the timeout. Internally, Nmap maintains a running timeout value for determining how long it will wait. These two options set a minimum and a maximum value for that internal timeout. The --host-timeout option allows you to define the maximum amount of time you are willing to wait for Nmap to completely scan any one host. A host that times out is completely skipped, and no report entry is generated for it. Nmap pauses briefly after sending a probe before sending the next one. It does this to prevent flooding the network and losing packets for which it will have to retransmit. How long Nmap pauses is controlled through these two options. Nmap scans a group of hosts in parallel and uses these two host group settings to control the size of the groups. One place where you can see the effect of these options is in Nmap's screen output. When scanning a large group of targets, you'll see a bunch of results spew across your screen in one big chunk and then nothing for a minute or two. Then another big chunk of data and then nothing. This repeats until the scan is complete. Nmap is scanning targets in the defined host group size and displaying the results as each host group completes. These options control the size of the data chunks. Ports are also scanned in parallel. These two options control the total number of probes that may be outstanding for a host group. The --min-rate and --max-rate options control the rate at which packets are sent out. The rate is defined in packets per second.